The World We Live In, Part 3. This is the third part, and this is where we get into a bit more of the larger organisations feeding us lies. We'll start with the CIA. We've all heard stories of them, running drugs for years. But a few of their other programs, like MK Ultra, or mind control, brainwash, behavioural modification, whatever you want to call it. And this was going on in the 70s, even earlier in the 60s. There's proof of it. That there's declassified papers now that you can get on the CIA in the 60s and 70s doing mind control, trying to modify the behaviour of the people of their country, the citizens. Do you think they just gave up on it, or do you think they've succeeded and we have all fit in? Look at what they've gotten away with, the rights they've taken off us, the amount we're policed, the amount we're taxed, the amount we're sold out every day, and we let it happen. Is this through this mind control? This is in the 70s. Imagine the technology and abilities they have of behaviour modification in 2000s. This is crazy. Where have we seen that before? The whole style of our governments these days, it's all based on a tyrant. We've taken all our pointers from a tyrant. I thought we won World War II. Why then are all our governments run by the person that we defeated? The CIA disinformation program. Do you think that'd still be running, or they just gave up on it, or the CIA gave up on something, you reckon? No, I'd say it's perfected. It's pretty much perfected. The American public does believe everything that is false. The government, every westernised country, it's the same. So much propaganda, so much disinformation. We're just led to believe we're told everything. We have free media. This is not true. Look who has interest in the media. Is it individual people, or is it big business? Big governments, they're the ones with interest in the media. They're the ones controlling the media on what they can and can't commentate on. Look into this disinformation program. Is that for the people? Let's have a look into NASA. How was it founded? Why was it founded? NASA was, I think, 1958, founded as a civilian space agency. They already had a military one. You don't often hear about that, but they have a military space agency. NASA is just a civilian one. So what do they get up to? Well, it seems this photo, the blue marble, is the one and only true photo we have of the whole Earth. One photo. With all the satellites and all the shuttles and rockets we've sent up the space station, none of them can get far enough away to take a whole Earth picture, but it's very eerie how black the surrounds are of this picture. This is the only one. Every other photo NASA has of the globe is CGI or photoshopped or whatever you want to call it, composites of many different pictures put together on how they want it to look. This is the only one they'll admit to is a true photo of the Earth. But look how black that is around it. Not a star, not a planet, nothing. Not one thing. Not one thing. The atmosphere looks like it's maybe a mile high. I don't know. It just doesn't even look like an atmosphere. It just looks painted on to the globe. So it's quite interesting. That I would have thought we'd have many photos by now. I mean, well, then again, we can't even get maps to correlate with each other. No maps have the same size. So how are we supposed to get a globe? But anyway, NASA have 17 to 18 satellites supposedly up there just studying the Earth nowadays, but won't show us a photo. Sort of interesting. If you look at their hammer and feather experiment they did on the moon, pretty ridiculous. I think they took a hammer all the way to the moon just for this experiment. And, you have a look into how much money per pound it apparently cost us to get to the moon. And was it really worth taking a hammer there just for this experiment? Couldn't we just have used something that was already there on the lander that we knew the weight of and mass? Or very interesting to take a hammer all the way to the moon just so that you could drop it next to a feather and show that they both hit the ground exactly the same time. Apparently to prove gravity. Apparently. It's quite interesting. Because if you think about it properly on why this doesn't work on Earth, how could it work on the moon? They say it's different on Earth because of wind resistance, but the gravity pulls the hammer down exactly the same as the feather. For gravity to work, it must not take any interest in the weight or density of a thing. It all acts 1g on, one gravitational force on every object. Every object. Doesn't matter its matter, doesn't matter its size, doesn't matter its density. The hammer and the feather or anything and everything all falls the same. So how then does an air bubble rise in water? Gravity's pulling water down at the same rate it's pulling air down. Where's the upward force? What about a hot air balloon? You have a payload, say 300 kilos, and then you have a amount of air, which also has a weight. You heat that air up, still has the same weight, it just expands. Is a hot air balloon anti-gravity then? If gravity is pulling hot air down the same as cold air, we might have a kilo of hot air and a 300 kilo payload and it moves up. And gravity's pulling everything down the same. How do we get an upwards force? So an air bubble must be an anti-gravity device. A hot air balloon must be. It's very interesting, this hammer and feather. Look into the whole gravity theory on, and look at it from a scientific point of view. And, well, not that we can do any experiments on it, but that's sort of what I'm talking about. The whole thing about science is, having an open mind, but also consistent, repeatable experiments to, before you theorise anything, you must have got consistent results. Consistent, repeated, and anyone should be able to repeat these, not just special people. Look into gravity and how often these experiments have been repeated and how consistent they are. And it's funny when you look at how much we base science now on theories that have never been consistent and have never been repeated. We're just told something and supposed to believe it. If you look into Nikola Tesla, genius of a man, similar time to the very promoted genius of Albert Einstein. Look into Tesla and what he gave us, and which was taken off us. Free energy. Free energy. We didn't have to burn coal. We didn't have to split atoms. We didn't have to do any of this. He could have given us free energy. He'd built it. We had it in the early 1900s. And why are we still burning coal today? We had this. It was free power to everyone. This was obviously a very smart man. Had between 700 to 900 patents before he died. 700 to 900 patents for different devices and things. Free energy. Why would they take that away from us? Wouldn't everyone want free energy? Who wouldn't? Big business. That's it. Proves they run the show. People, we don't run anything. We're like sheep in a paddock. And the shepherd is big business. Banks, big business. And governments are their sheepdog. Controlling us, keeping us in line, making it easier for the shepherds or big business and banks to walk over us and grind us into the dirt. Nikola Tesla, talking about Einstein's theory of relativity, says the theory wraps all these errors and fallacies and clothes them in a magnificent mathematical garb which fascinates, dazzles, and makes people blind to the underlying errors. The theory is like a beggar clothed in purple, whom ignorant people take for a king. Its exponents are very brilliant men, but they are metaphysicists rather than scientists. Metaphysicists. What does that mean? That'd be like paranormal, supernatural activity, I suppose. That's sort of what Einstein was talking about. Einstein didn't really do experiments at all. He just worked out equations and you look into statistics, you can prove anything with them depending on what side you're looking at. It's sort of similar with maths. Depending on what you want to show, you can prove mathematically using different formulas. And that's exactly what Einstein did. He gave us formulas where we could, he could lead us astray. Look into the type of person Einstein was outside of being a genius. Was he a nice guy? Was he, apart from this theory of relativity and this sort of thing, was he a smart guy outside of that, just in day-to-day life? Look into it. We're led to believe this guy was a genius. He gave us the atom bomb, really. That's what he gave us, nuclear weapons. That's what he gave us. I mean, it's just... what would you choose? If you were a government and you had a guy that wanted to give everyone, including the government, business, people, free power. Free power without hurting the environment, not burning coal, not digging up the ground. Or would you promote a guy who's given us a massive nuclear weapon to kill millions of people? Well, what happened? Why don't we have free power? Why do we even have the nuclear weapon? The first decent person that heard about the nuclear bomb should have burnt it. How could it be good for anything? Nuclear weapons. But look at what your government's repressed from us. Free power and giving us nuclear weapons. This is ridiculous. 1943, Tesla died. And when he died, the FBI raided his place. confiscated all his patents, kept them quiet from us, to the point where we were crediting other people with inventions which the FBI knew Tesla had created. He'd patent them. The patent office knew it. But we still taught in all our schools, these people invented that and so invented this. When the powers that be knew Tesla had invented it all earlier. Why to this day we were told he had 700 to 900 patents when he died. To this day we don't even have 300 of them. The FBI released, I think it was in around the year 2000, released 200 and something of Tesla's patents. What about the rest? How can they keep this from us? What right do they have to tell us what we can and can't know? I think it's every chance the government gets, they lie to us. Or they try to bring us down. Why? Wouldn't it be in their best interest to keep us happy? Why do they just want to bring us down constantly and control us? Why do we let them? Why do we let them just lie to us? We are the majority. They're a handful of people telling you when and what you can do. Very rarely telling us why. Oh well, thanks for watching.